We're sitting down with Kris Menendez, which he is the chief of fire of the Horizon. Is Horizon a county?
It is. We're part of our official name is El Paso County Emergency Services District Number 1, home of the Horizon Fire Department.
Got you. Amazing. And so the way I actually met Mr. Menendez, or Chief, was through who you guys have seen before, Rob, who is the owner of Top View. So his fiance Liv, you are her father, and then I'm also sitting down with the lovely Miss Menendez as well. So definitely it's cool to have like definitely a little family dynamic, especially close to like Thanksgiving. And I've also seen you guys just at the gym and stuff. So it's definitely been good getting to like know your family and everything. And now I feel like we've been trying to make this happen for a little bit. So
it's been a minute.
Yeah, sure. But thankfully we're able to find the right time. And so where did your journey like first start? I think you were in the fire department. You said like when you were 17? 15. Oh, wow. That's even wilder. So first of all, do they even allow 15-year-olds anymore?
Not anymore.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
So what prompted you to even just like get started in that?
So I always tell the story when I was a young boy. I used to live over off of Vista del Sol and Burt Green. And the pumper 24 specifically, would always come down the street, sirens wailing, and I would always run outside. I lived on the second or third house down the street.
Yeah.
And I would go out there and I'd wave at the firemen that were coming by. I mean, must have been 8 or 9 years old. My grandfather lived over there, and so when they would go by, they'd always wave back at me. They'd honk the horn, hit the mechanical siren, and just keep on going by. So I would go there on the weekends, and so it was like a routine for me. I hear sirens, I'd run to the corner, put my hand up and wave. They would wave back, and I've always had a fascination with fire trucks and the fire service. And then my cousin, as I got older, was volunteering in Horizon, and so he said, "Well, come on up." And
so you were living in Horizon as a kid?
Like since '76.
Oh, wow.
So showing my age now.
Yeah. So, so your cousin would go to the fire department just to hang out there? Or
no, he was a volunteer.
Oh, okay,
he was older. He was much older than I was.
Got you.
He must have been around 20, 22 years old. I was 13, 14 years old, and he would invite me up there. And back then, it was simpler times. And so, hey, we have a call. You want to go in the fire truck? Of course, let's go. And so he gave me a ride in the fire truck, and that's where it all started.
Yeah. And through that, did you even have to go through like what they have now as like the academy and everything?
No, back then. And as a volunteer, you don't have to have the training per se. They gave you the training, and back then it was very minimal. It wasn't much training. That it really was on the job training. It was put the water on the fire, and don't get hurt.
Yeah,
and that was kind of the mentality back then.
Yeah, and so throughout that, so when did you see like a shift in like I guess like implementing like more training in the academy? And because definitely a really good friend of mine, Denny Chavez, who have you met Denny yet?
I don't think I have.
Okay, yeah. So he just graduated from the fire school this past year. But it's like I barely even saw that dude. Like he was just locked in, studying all the time. Like I think he actually got valedictorian of his class too.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's like it seemed like a very like intensive like program, So when did that like kind of like change? Was it recent?
No, it's been in the making. So when I got on in Horizon at 15, I joined El Paso Fire when I was 20, and so that's when I got official training. Went through a 6-month academy. We had, hose day on the first day where you're carrying, a 50-foot section of hose up and down the stairs on the 5-story tower and running around. And so El Paso Fire, I mean, they've been around for a long time. So they've always had a structured element in their department. And so once I got on and got the training, got the knowledge, I kind of brought that out to the county. I was the first career fireman volunteering in Horizon.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so now is the Horizon and El Paso still like separate, or is it one now?
No, it's still separate. Horizon is its own municipality. El Paso is its own municipality. And so technically under Horizon, we're considered El Paso County. And so we're part of the county, and we answer to the Judge Samaniego. And then the city, I have a Chief Killings, and then we answer to City Council.
Got you. But you work in tandem pretty often with them? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Well, pretty much. When I'm working in El Paso, I'm doing El Paso, and on my days off, I come out to Horizon, and work out there.
Got you. So you're still a part of the El Paso Fire
Oh,
Department as
absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. And then for like for someone who's not like really familiar with just the job, what is like the schedule like for a fireman? I guess like maybe when you first start out.
So there's different schedules out there. I'll tell you the difference between
Yeah.
Horizon and El Paso. But El Paso pretty much is what they call the Kelly schedule. They work 24 on. Our shift starts at 11:45 in the morning, and then we do 24 hours. So we get off the next day at 11:45, and then we're off for 24 hours. And then we come back in for 24, then we're off for 24, and then we do one more 24 on, and then they give us 4 days off. So normally my 4 days off is when I come out to Horizon and work, and in between my shifts, I work in Horizon also. But in the county, my guys and girls, the firefighters there work at 48.96. So they're on for 48 hours instead of the 24 like El Paso, and then they're off for 96.
For 96. Okay. Wow. Okay. It's a little bit different. And so you always talk about how like, it's a great job for like someone who has other interests and wants to like pursue maybe something in another field. Do you see like a lot of your firemen like doing the same thing, doing just that, you know?
Definitely. I
Yeah.
think the fire department gives you some structure. It's very paramilitary. We learn, as a younger individual, you really learn discipline. And many of the men and women that volunteer, that work, that are paid for El Paso and Horizon, have or do other jobs. Some of them work as nurses in hospitals. Others work as, have their own construction companies or their own businesses. Or like in my case, I work for El Paso and then I work for Horizon. And mind you, again, I started as a volunteer in Horizon. I got picked up by El Paso, and then Horizon started to pay, and that's how I became the paid fire chief for Horizon, but I'm a battalion chief for El Paso.
Got you. And battalion, what's like the difference between battalion chief and then chief?
So fire chief, I'm in charge of the entire department, all the different divisions, fire
Got you.
marshals, administration, operations. And as a battalion chief, I'm in charge of a district. So
Got you.
in El Paso, as a battalion chief, I have a couple stations under me. I'm a downtown battalion chief. So I have the high rises that we respond to. We have the water rescue team or water rescue units that are downtown, along with the special rescue units that are downtown. So my thing has always been special ops and special rescue.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And so you talk about like a couple different things because you also travel a lot for work. So what are some like tasks or like just maybe emergencies that people don't normally like think of as what firemen do? People just think, oh, there's a fire. Like you guys are just gonna go put up with the fire, but there's a lot of different like divisions and
for sure.
stuff. That's what you guys do. So what are like some of those, that not many people would know?
Well, some of the things that we do are simple things, simply as changing a battery in a smoke detector.
Really?
A lot of times, we have the elderly or just someone doesn't know why my smoke detector is beeping. And so we go out, we investigate, we determine, this is a bad battery. They give us the battery, we swap it out, and then off we go. There's been other calls in where just simply as we're driving down the road, we see a car that, has a flat tire. And you'd be surprised, a lot of my rookies sometimes haven't been exposed to how to change a flat tire. And so we give them the opportunity to not only help the community and make a difference with that family member, that person who needs assistance, but it gives them an opportunity to learn and how to do simple things that we take for granted. As I was growing up, I knew I was asked and chored with doing simple things like, changing the oil in the car, doing the brakes, changing a flat tire, swapping tires around. And nowadays that's not so common. You don't see that with the kids that are coming up in today's society. Exactly.
Yeah. And so I'd be able to call, like, or not me personally, but like someone would be able to call if they really had no other option for you to help them change their tire.
Not necessarily call.
Okay, got
it's
you.
It's more of a thing where we just, we're always in the public's eye.
Got you.
We're always out there wanting to help and make a difference. And so it's just something that we do. It's not necessarily calling us, but it's just we're there to help. And
got you.
If someone needs assistance, we're going to give them the assistance.
Yeah. And what about wildfires? Do you guys help with those as well?
No, that's one thing we don't get involved in the city. In the county, we're actually partnering up with an organization called TIFMAS, and they're more of a regional entity that responds to nothing but wildfires. So we're getting some of our members trained up to become part of a team that they would respond to, let's say, that big fire they had in Amarillo. They called in a multitude of different departments throughout the state of Texas and even as far as California. And they came in and assisted with that large wildfire they had up there recently this last summer.
Yeah. And so let's just say like there's kind of getting to specifics, like there's a fire, like you get a call and there's a pretty significant fire somewhere. What is like the procedure from like getting the call to driving over there to like the methods you use to kind of put this fire out, and just from like start to finish, what's like the procedure you guys have to go through?
So the first thing is obviously calling 911. I think that's one thing that we always stress because there's a lot of delay in that. You would think, that'll be the first step, but sometimes people try and put the fires out themselves. So that delays our response. So we always recommend that, let's get the units coming. And if it turns out you don't need us, then we turn around and go home, right? But most times the fires get out of control. And it's because they try to put it out themselves. A grease fire, Thanksgiving is here. And so we get a lot of grease fires, a lot of deep fryer fires. And so, they call 911. The tones go out to multiple stations. And in both city and county, it's pretty much the same. So when you call
911, who's getting who's answering? It's not like a specific department.
It's within, so in El Paso, it's within the city, the El Paso Fire Department. They have a communication center located in the Northeast.
Oh, okay.
And they're part of El Paso Fire. And in the county, they're under Horizon PD. And so they get the call, and then they dispatch the proper stations within that area to respond.
Or if they need a police officer, they dispatch the police.
Exactly. Okay. So different divisions. So let's say you have a medical emergency, they send the call to fire. And if fire gets the information, they determine what type of call it is, a heart attack, a stroke, I simply fell down, need assistance getting up, and they dispatch the proper authorities. Same as if it's a PD call, let's say someone's breaking into a house, you need to do a report for an accident, they transfer it to PD, they get information, and then they dispatch PD to that call. And
so what's the communication with like everybody there? Is it just like same thing every time, or are you able to gauge how big the actual fire is, or how do you like go about that?
Yeah, there's the multifaceted response per se in this regard. So en route, we can determine how big the fire is by how much smoke is showing, right? So tentatively, more smoke, more fire. But again, it just depends on what's burning. But
what about the amount of calls? Will that give you like a...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. If we get one call versus 10 calls, that's a good one too, for sure. We know something's working. We got a working fire somewhere. If we get one call or there's someone, possibly sees smoke in the area, we know, okay, this isn't, necessarily a working fire, but there's potential. There's smoke in the area. Could be because a car backfired. Could be because someone's smoking a brisket. And it happens. Gotcha. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. And so let's just say you see a pretty significant fire, how do you attack it?
So depending on where it's at, we have a bunch of units responding, right? So typically we have about anywhere between 7 to 10 units going on the call in the city. In the county, probably about 4, maybe 5.
Unit being one truck?
One truck.
Okay.
Yeah, and every truck has anywhere between 3 to 4 firefighters on it. And so there's different trucks. There's a ladder truck, there's a pumper truck, and then of course you have the battalion chief who's in charge of the incident once they get there. So the first unit on the scene determines and gives a first what we call a BIR, which is the on-scene report. And they determine, they pretty much paint a picture for the rest of the units that are responding, kind of describing what they have and what they see. And so those who have a little bit more tenure on the department are a little bit more calm, cool, and collect. And those who are a little newer on the department are still excited and still want that fire. And, you can hear it in their voices. And so based upon that first unit on the scene really determines what actions we do.
Got you. And the amount of fires you see are usually started from what would you say?
I would say accidental. Majority of them are accidental. And
cooking?
An accidental could be cooking, could be a cigarette, could be electrical. There are arson cases out there, they do happen. But
and you're able to tell if it was arson or not?
Not myself specifically. We do have fire marshals who go out and do the investigation, who we bring out on every fire, and they determine cause. Wow, basically, was it accidental or was it on purpose? And so that's where that comes in.
That's crazy. That's insane to me too, because everything's everything's pretty much like destroyed and burned. So like the fact that they're able to decipher like how this actually was caused is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's all science. I mean, you can tell down to almost what we call the area of origin, just by what we call a V pattern. So when the fire starts, wherever it did start, it makes this nice little V. And so as the fire grows, the V gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So as an investigator, you're turning that V around and coming back down to determine exactly where that fire started.
Got you.
There's a lot of science that goes into it.
Yeah. And what makes a grease fire so like different? Because you're not supposed to pour water on grease.
Exactly. A simple get the cover of the pan and covering it. It's all you got to do. But that's what makes things worse is people throw water on it. It splashes, catches the cabinet.
Do you know the
fire,
reasoning, the chemical
science,
reasoning behind that?
All I can tell you is the little bit that I know about that is that water expands.
Gotcha.
Right. So every gallon of water expands about 1,700 times, and so as you throw that water in there, it expands in that grease and it causes the grease to jump out, and that's what pretty much the grease is already on fire, and so that's what causes the fire to spread.
Got you. And is the like what? And then also you have like for example, fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming out of the fire extinguisher? Because it's not water.
No.
Yeah.
There are what we call pump cans that do have water, and that's more for areas where there's different classifications: A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. And so each extinguisher has its purpose, and so we have some for electrical fires. That's more of a CO2, so you don't damage like computers and areas where there's a lot of electronics. And we have your typical ABC extinguisher, which you'll find everywhere, which is your ordinary combustibles, electrical, and just different aspects of what each extinguisher can do.
Got you. And then the grease fire, let's just say it's humongous and you can't like just put something over it. What do you guys do?
So, well, by the time we get there, usually we'll try and remove if it's a pan or something of that nature. And then, of course, we have a lot of water. So we're able to really douse it and put that out in comparison to someone throwing a cup on there or a pan. There's different method in regard to that type of fire, and so that's where it really comes into play. Copious amounts of water is different than just a cup and something else. So we bring in a hose line, we bring in, I'm sure you've seen the commercials, the firemen running through the building.
For sure. Yeah. And how do you get someone like prepared? Like, for example, your firemen that are coming in for the first time, do you consider them rookies also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're rookies.
How do you get them prepared mentally for like the chaos and like just the pressure that comes behind that, like what goes into the training aspect of that?
I mean, we can only train them up so much, right? We can only expose them to so many things. We got a great training program in both the city and the county where they're exposed to what we call training props, where we simulate what a fire is going to do. We have what they call rollover, flashover, backdraft. And so rollover is when the fire is above your head, just kind of rolling above you. And so we can simulate that. We can simulate a backdraft by introducing air into a room that's confined, and that air introduction causes the fire and basically to breathe. We consider fire like a living organism. So it comes out and it comes out with an explosive force. And so we can expose them to different things in that regard. We have some great training props. We have some like what we call little doll houses, opening a door, opening a window. We can show them what happens when you introduce air into that burning prop.
Got you.
Yeah.
And do you see a lot of like rookies, like kind of maybe on their first like intense call? Like, what is that like for them?
Hearts pounding.
Yeah.
They're excited. I mean, excited that it's their first fire. Of course, it's devastating, to see the damage that results from it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely heart pounding, especially when you're going inside their burning building. You can't see anything. It's pitch black. You're wearing, pretty much a winter coat, winter pants. It's hot. It's you have the potential of singeing your ears a little bit. I mean, depending on what's burning inside of there, it's not for everybody. And that's what the academy allows you to do, is really, focus on those who can really maintain that professionalism of being a firefighter, and those that can't, go into other things.
Yeah. And so I know you've been doing this for a while, and but can you think about like what your first maybe not your first fire, but like your first significant one where like it was like, oh snap, like I'm really in this, this is real, and what was the experience like? And does anything come to mind when you think about that?
Oh yeah. I was a kid volunteering, of course. I think I was very impressionable being so young, and we had a major house fire in Sparks. It was snowing. The roads were iced over. I must have been all of, I think, maybe 16, maybe 17. And I'm riding on the back of one of the engines. It was an open cab. Nowadays, everything's closed up, and you have heating and cooling. So I'm out there with my jacket trying to stay warm in the engine compartment because it's cold. We're outside.
This is in Horizon?
This is Horizon, yeah. And we're the only pumper to get up the hill, because then at that point, all the other trucks couldn't get up because the hill or the road iced over. So at that point, we actually called El Paso Fire to assist. And it was a fully involved house. We went in there and, at the end, put the fire out. But I had icicles on my helmet. It was one of those like Chicago fire type of thing where when you head up north and you have fighting fire in snow and frigid temperatures, even moving your jacket, it's freezing because you're wet and everything else. And so I'll never forget that. And actually being one of my fellow classmates in high school, I was still in high school. Wow. And so it ended up being one of my fellow classmates in high school. And that was, I think, one of the things that kind of hit home is I knew this individual. It wasn't just some random person. It was like someone that I knew, I was acquainted with. And so it left an impression in my mind.
Sure. And with the, like, on your calls, how often are you guys like getting like that you have to rescue someone from the actual like burning structure?
Some people will go their entire career never rescuing anybody.
Yeah.
Others will get 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Have you had to?
I've never physically rescued anybody that's been alive. I've done some dogs and some cats and stuff, but never a person. And so I've been doing El Paso Fire now for 26 years in the county now for 33 years. So it's been a minute.
Wow. I mean, that's a good thing in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
What about like on water? Because fire, you can definitely have fires like on top of water, right? How do you do that? Like, is it the same thing?
No, totally different. Okay. So we call that a 3-dimensional fire because the fire is moving. And so we experience that a lot with car fires. The tank melts or drops down because back in the day, cars used to be made out of the gas tanks made out of steel, and so they got away from that and then made them out of plastic. And so now when the car fire happens, the plastic melts and allows the gas to drip out, catches fire. Now we have a moving 3-dimensional fire. And so we use foam, Class A foam, to pretty much smother that, and it helps us put the fire out. So we're removing one of the elements, and that's the oxygen to keep it from burning.
Got you. And like a fire on water, how is it? Because you use water to put out fire, so how is it even surviving? How's the fire like keep going?
So the water and let's say fuel for this case, it's not miscible, so it's not combining.
Oh, okay.
And so
it stays on top.
It stays on top, exactly.
Got you.
So it isn't until we mix our water with foam, and then pretty much comes out almost like bubbles, if you will.
Got you.
It goes on it. It's almost like a white snow. I'm sure you've seen them, and it just pretty much leaves like a white blanket over the fuel, and that's how we remove the oxygen and stop it from burning.
Got you. And you've been traveling a lot, like throughout Texas.
I have.
Have you been doing that for a while, or is this like a recent thing?
So it's been more of a recent thing. And with El Paso Fire, we're part of a regional response team. The water rescue team is Texas Task Force 1. And so we go out and help out the state of Texas with flooding in different areas. I've been all over the state of Texas this year. This year has been one of our busiest years in regards to call-outs. We've put on several thousand miles. It's been amazing.
Wow.
We've met some great people, been involved with some great fire departments. We've effectively helped out some great people that have gotten themselves in situations where the cars are getting washed away and they need help. It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah. And what's like so the diving aspect of what you do, so is that a recent thing, you've learning how to dive, or is that part of the training?
No, that's part of our training.
Oh, okay.
In order to be a member of the water rescue team for El Paso, you go to one Swiftwater school, and then you become a open water diver, then an advanced diver, and then a rescue diver, and ultimately at some point a public safety diver. And so the diving, it's kind of funny. You think diving in El Paso.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why do you need that?
Yeah.
Right? And so we do have a Scaredy. Granted, it's not that deep. But it's not just for that. We help out PD with evidence, looking for stuff in canals and lakes. And so, we have had some calls to look for people that have drowned. But for the most part, we're usually out there helping out PD.
Yeah. And the hiking incidents, are you guys do you guys help out with those as well?
Yep, that's another team. So that's the for El Paso, it's the ComStar team. For the county, it's the county search and rescue team. And so I was part of the ComStar team for El Paso for many years. I think I did about 17, 18 years there.
I'm sure that
And
one's
so-
a little bit more common because of the
Yes,
mountains we have here.
That's for sure. I know in the county, for example, we have a lot of hikers in regard that want to climb. A lot of climbers, I should say. A lot of climbers, and they fall, get hurt. Not necessarily get lost. There are occasions where they do, but each department does their own facet of response.
Yeah. And do you find it hard for like new rookies to kind of adjust to the schedule, or is it a pretty smooth transition?
No, I think it's pretty smooth. I think, yeah, especially having the days off. You get acclimated to it real quick. I'll tell a quick story. I got promoted to driver, and I was on the 24-hour schedule, and my wife and I, when I switched to a different division, Spec Ops, Special Operations, that was a 40-hour schedule. And so it took some time for her and I to get acclimated, because she was used to me being at work on certain times, and then she would do her thing, and then now I'm home every night. And so it's just a different aspect of things. I did that for 4.5 years, and then I got promoted to lieutenant and went to Special Rescue 11, and I was down there for a couple of years, 4 years, and went back to the 24-hour schedule, and we had to acclimate to that too. So in regards to the individual, it's pretty quick to get acclimated to it, but when it involves a family and the kids, it's a little different.
Yeah, for sure. And what's been the most, like, for you personally, the most challenging thing about like your job?
I think what comes to mind, off the top of my head, is I like things that happen quickly, change or a process, and sometimes in government things don't happen that fast. It takes a little while. It's got to go up the chain of command. It's got to get the approval. It's got to come back down the chain of command. And so I think that's one of the challenging aspects, and things, you don't always get your approval, right? So as a coordinator for the water rescue team in the city, I ask for equipment, I ask for training, and sometimes we don't have the funding. But and that gets a little frustrating. But after a couple of years, they always say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? And so persistence is key, and that was one thing I really had to learn, was being persistent, and just it's gonna happen. It may not happen tomorrow like I want it to happen, but it's gonna happen at some point, so long as I still continue and still persist and still have that mentality of not eagerness, but just being involved.
Yeah. And did you were you there for the Walmart shootings? Like, did you get dispatched to
No, I happened to be off. We were actually going into work, and as I was going to work, I worked on the west side at the time as a captain, and I saw these police cars coming down the freeway. I had no idea what was going on until I made it to the station, and that's when I was told, the events that were happening. It's like, oh my God, it was like it was pretty wild.
Yeah. And what about 9/11? Like, what was your 9/11 story like? Where were you, and what were your thoughts?
So I was with my wife, and we were at home. We were actually getting ready for college. We had a class to go to, and
Really?
I think she turned on the TV, or I turned it on. I don't remember, but just turning it on and seeing what the devastation that was happening, that was like, wow. So we'll never forget that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. Where were you, Rob? Do you remember? I mean, you're definitely young.
Call me old, bro. I was in first grade, bro.
First grade? Do you remember?
I always tell the story. You know what I think it's crazy? I remember like teachers purposely making sure we saw. Not that they saw, them getting the big TV out and making us watch it.
Yeah.
Which is like weird to me. Like, yeah, me, I could see that. But yeah, I remember watching it on my first grade class.
Wow.
That was definitely history in the making. And it's kind of wild. I mean, I think now to think that the kids today weren't around to see that. I mean, now, the kids are, how old are they now?
Yeah, I was 2 years old.
That's Diego.
Right? It's crazy.
I was 2 years old, yeah.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, we don't even know. We can't even comprehend. We can see videos, obviously,
Right.
but to have your own, because you see, obviously, it's unfortunate in the world. Like, you see other countries getting attacked.
For sure.
We've in my lifetime. Well, yeah, we have. It was 9/11, but that was the first time in a while I think our homeland had been hit by like a foreign country.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure to experience that, I would have been scared for sure. Like are they gonna? I'm sure there was word of them attacking other places they thought.
Yeah. High target value. Yeah, definitely. There was some some talk about these different areas that, oh my gosh, they're gonna hit this and hit that, and I mean, and you saw they hit the Pentagon, they hit some other areas.
Yeah.
And so
Insane, man.
yeah, for sure.
And so like outside of the job, like what do you personally like to like spend your time doing when you have some free time?
Well, the
Obviously
point
you
is-
have Liv and Cole, right?
For sure.
Um
But when they were growing up, I mean, there's not much free time doing
Yeah.
both, right? But definitely devoted to their sports from the time they were little kiddos. At 4 years old, I had them in t-ball,
yeah.
and then they went to kid pitch, and then the coach pitch, or coach pitch, then kid pitch, and then they ended up going into different teams, or travel ball, and then
Yeah.
high school, and
So baseball was a big thing for you.
baseball.
Yeah.
Softball
Did you
were
play?
huge. I never played.
No.
I played not for school. I played recreationally. I played for a team for a couple of years, in elementary, but that was the extent of it.
Yeah. And what kind of made you was baseball just, have you always been interested in baseball or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, baseball and football have always been my thing. Just seeing some of the players. I mean, some of the old guys that played in, back in the day were pretty amazing. Boston Red Sox fan. I know those people out there might not be such a fan, but nonetheless, there are some great people that that I used to collect cards as a kid that I still have, and so it's definitely something I've always loved. I mean, even basketball.
Yeah.
The Bulls, Michael Jordan. All the true. I say true, but the goats of,
Got you.
of the sports.
LeBron James is what you're talking about, right?
No,
You're not a LeBron guy, huh?
Not a LeBron guy.
Bronny, I think it's
sorry.
about Bronny, bro.
Sorry.
Dude. You also just recently like changed your fandom from being a Cowboys fan to a Chiefs fan.
I did. It wasn't recent. All right.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's been about
Oh,
2
you're
years.
gonna call him out like that.
I was like,
Public.
Wow.
You said wait, it's 10 years?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Kind of recent.
kind of.
No, the thing is, I don't have any gripe with that, dude, because the Cowboys, dude, that organization is terrible, man. Like I just hate the direction they're going in, and the management has just been awful.
For sure. My thing was, if I'm getting more irritated and not enjoying the sport because of that, I've got to do something different.
For sure.
Either stop watching it or change a team. And not that I changed to a winning team like everybody thinks and stuff. I'm a Mahomes fan. I've got his rookie card. I got his cards when he was in Texas Tech. I got signatures. I got a big picture frame of him and one of his moments holding the ring. I'm just a fan of the Chiefs. I like the players. I like the coach. I like the overall aspect. They have Chiefs in the name.
Yeah,
And so,
exactly. That's
it's like, hey,
no, that's perfect.
and so it works
Yeah,
out.
no, I like that. And it's a little bit like we used to kind of talk jokingly, like especially me and my family, like we're like tired of the Cowboys, but it's gone to a point where like we've spent so much money supporting this team, dude. Like we go to games, we do. My family, my dad and his brothers have season tickets, and it's to the point where like, yo, like we're not gonna continue to support this. Like we were supposed to go to a game this year. And we were just like, you know what, like we don't want to go.
Yeah.
So hopefully they start like noticing that,
hope
and they're
so.
just like, yo, we need to really change
Yo,
things.
Gago's not here. Like
For sure.
Gago's not here, guys. We need to make a change.
Dude, I mean, not just me, bro, but like, no, like they're gonna feel that. Like if people stop going to the games because of, I mean, it's gonna be hard. Everybody wants to go to the Cowboys game, but at the same time, like you start losing season ticket holders and things, you're like, oh snap, all right.
Oh, for sure. I know someone made the comment the other day. They were going to a Cowboys game because the tickets were so cheap. So
Wow.
they are experiencing some effect because they're like, hey, I'm gonna go to a game because I mean, hell,
Yeah, they
$50,
suck.
Dang.
can't miss out on that. And again, I hope they do make some type of change because obviously from last year to this year there was no change, and then
Yeah.
they paid Dak, I mean, ridiculous amount of money. It's crazy.
For sure. If they made a significant change and you saw the ship turn around, would you go? No, Chiefs all the way.
Gee, I'm stuck with it
Okay.
now. My boy, he's a diehard Cowboys fan. He grew up. I was a Cowboys fan, so he picked the Cowboys, and so he's truly a diehard. And he's like, I ain't changing that. I got you, boy. It's all right. It's all good.
And so now that like Cole and Liv are older, obviously they're still going through school and stuff. But I feel like that maybe freed up a little bit of time for you, So what do you like? What do you enjoy doing?
No, I mean we're still involved with the kiddos.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
even though they're in college now, but I try and my daughter loves to work out, and
Mhm.
so she works out at Rob's gym over there, and so you know, try and do that and spend time with her. And then my boy likes to play golf, and so one of the things we try and do is definitely play golf. Love to go shoot, but there ain't much time for that nowadays, so that doesn't happen very often. Mountain biking, you should try and do that early in the mornings, and so
Rob's told me you guys
so,
went a
yeah,
few
we
times.
went. It was good.
That's
It
probably
was
one of the
good.
hardest things I ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Well-
bad, bro. The funniest thing ever was like I show up like like I used to ride bikes in the Northeast with my buddies. Like we just literally like this, just jump on a bike. So I show up like in shorts, a t-shirt, and like Chief and Core like with their helmets, a water pack, and like they're looking at me like I'm crazy. And I didn't
Not
realize how
prepared at all.
dangerous it really is, though, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, for sure.
it was hard. We gotta
no.
take you sometime, bro.
Oh, dude, honestly, I'm so terrified of that.
Really?
Well, like, I would definitely do it, but it's like you're falling downhill, essentially.
Well,
You're
you take
just-
to the beginner course. Like,
Got you.
Yeah.
We went to like North Hills, which is beginner, but he's done like scenic drive area, which he says that's like, probably harder than that, right?
Yeah.
Can
Cardiac
imagine.
Hill, yeah, it's harder. I mean, it's a straight up shot, more technical, more rocks, more boulders.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say Northeast, the what would you call it?
Is it called Lazy Cow?
Lazy Cow. And
Got you. Is that where the
that
tin
area.
mines is?
Yes,
Okay.
going up that area exactly.
Got you.
Exactly.
Dude, hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And and you and your wife have been together for a long time.
22, 26. Well, married for 22. Yeah,
Okay.
together for 26.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so how old were you at 26 years ago?
So I would have been 21 because I was a probie or a rookie in the fire department, and she was 19.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys lie about your age at all, or anything? Or is that just my
No.
parents did that? Dude, yeah, they definitely. It's crazy. They both lied about their age to each other. Isn't that insane?
No, I never lied.
Where they meet?
I think a bar.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. But so yeah, you were 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you guys meet actually?
So actually, ironically, at a bar.
Okay.
It used to be called the Stampede on the west side,
Uh-huh.
and the country bar, and we've been looking at each other for a couple weeks, if not a couple months, and
So you would see each other there a lot.
yeah.
Oh,
We didn't
wow.
talk. I was too shy. I was maybe 140 pounds, sopping wet, and so I wasn't confident, and I was afraid. And she actually came up. We were talking to one of my friends, and my friend was dating this girl that she happened to know, and they were friends. And so she came up and started talking to her, and then we got introduced to each other, and I want to say the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you how far into it did you know we're gonna get married?
Before I even met her, I told some of my buddies that that's the girl.
Really?
Yeah, and lo and behold, there she is.
Dude, what happened to that,
Right?
man?
Right?
What happened to those times?
Uh-huh.
I've said that multiple times, and I'm still here yep, still single.
It'll happen. It takes time.
change.
Yeah.
Some of us are lucky and find it when we're young. Others takes a couple years, a couple marriages. I mean, it happens, and you always want to stay married, right? You don't want to get divorced and have to find somebody else, but you always marry for forever.
For sure.
That's one of the biggest.
And it was
things.
much more common to meet. I mean, you met a lot of people met their significant others at a bar, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like for some reason that's frowned upon now, huh?
Dude, very.
Literally.
Like, it's
Yeah.
because now it's like people trying to meet their significant other on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a red flag. You're just like, where would you meet her at the bar? I'm like, bro, be careful.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
weird, you're right. Yeah, but back then you were socializing. Like that was social.
Yeah,
hour.
that
Like,
was-
you would go socialize and get out of your comfort zone.
There
or,
was
like,
no Instagram, no Facebook.
Yeah, how else would
people
you?
hide? I think hide sometimes behind it. Like they might be confident online, but not confident in person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and how else would you socialize with anybody? I don't think it's insane to me to think about what your experiences were
Yeah, for sure. Totally different.
Totally. You guys didn't have your phone, so you obviously you spent your time doing other things, which was obviously if you weren't working, you were maybe, yeah, what do you guys do?
I think people skills are probably better back then.
For
too.
sure.
People skills had to been better.
100%. We weren't always at home playing games. I mean, back then, I think, back in when I was younger, we had a Commodore 64, which no one knows what that is nowadays. I mean, that was our Nintendo, and so, but it was on a regular computer, and you had an up down arrow key that you would hit, and the F or the G I mean, it was very
That was your version of
very
the gaming.
simplistic. Yeah, for sure. But we would go out as in go out and ride our bikes, go out and swim and hang out with our friends. And as we got older, I was involved in roping and what we call team pinning. I had horses, and we would go out, and that's how we would kind of talk and hang out. We had bonfires out in the desert, and so, little parties that, I think too is a little different society in regards to we weren't shooting and acting crazy. We're out there, whether we got along or not, didn't matter. We had a good time, and everybody went home safe.
Yeah. It's definitely in your eyes. Do you feel like the world has become a more dangerous place since you've been a kid or
100%.
younger? Really?
100%.
So it's not just like social media just making it seem.
I mean, social media brings it to light more, for sure.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we didn't have phones and internet at our fingertips. So
Yeah.
we didn't know what was going on the other side of town. We had no idea. Now you have, FitFam that tells you the information within
Yeah.
seconds of something happening. And that wasn't back then. So you're really focused on just your area and just what you were doing. And if you pass an accident, hey, look, there's an accident. Now it's like, oh, my God, there's an accident on the west side. There's an accident on the northeast.
Yeah, you're so much more tuned in.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think has played into that, like the society and just everything becoming a little bit more like dangerous and stuff? I'm sure there's tons of different factors, but like there has to be some specific ones,
I'm sure. I'm sure it's a multifaceted aspect of things that bring it to where it is now. I mean, just I really couldn't put my finger on one thing.
Yeah.
That
For sure, I think the social media aspect though, like, is definitely taking a toll on people's like mental health for sure. Like just seeing, even though like there may have been things going on back in the day when you guys were coming up, you necessarily didn't know about it as much. So in that case, like it didn't affect you.
Yeah.
But now you just see everything. It's just right in front of you. You see like a shooting or like someone just bad things on FitFam. It's just like, it definitely can take a toll on you over time, Like I don't even follow those pages because it gets sad,
Yeah, for sure. And don't get me wrong, now FitFam has some great aspects to it. It's not always bad,
for sure.
I mean, and there's other social media outlets that are out there that bring information, good or bad, to light. Sometimes very one-sided, with the whole politics, but we won't talk about politics. But that'd be a whole different conversation. But at the end of the day, you see, and I say kids, it's everybody scrolling. They're always scrolling, and so I mean, if you spend as much time scrolling in regards to going out and trying to be successful, I think you'd be surprised at how successful you would be, if you didn't spend as much time scrolling and looking at the internet and stuff.
That's definitely a big role in like just people, because I feel like in our generation, because I even tried to like talk to my dad about this, and he just has a completely different mindset, bro. Like, so I was asking him, like, did he ever feel like that he felt like lost in a way, like he didn't know exactly what path he wanted to go down, or he felt anxious about like the future? And not to say he didn't feel those things, but for him, like he kind of didn't know how to answer, because like the number one thing for him was just to work and just to make money and provide, that was like the number one thing.
Yeah.
And so I guess for us, maybe it's just a much more like privileged, and I understand like we're very fortunate as a family and stuff. Like he's provided for us, and my mom as well. But yeah, like for him, it was just like there wasn't anything about this like, oh, I feel like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, what's my passion or anything? No, it was just like you're gonna go and work and provide, and not to say those things aren't important, but it just wasn't even a question for him. Like he was just gonna do those things. So I just feel like it's like a different, like we come from a different thing. Can you relate like with like your dad and your pops?
Yeah,
mom?
I think like in a sense where like I remember I think my dad's only worry was like to provide.
Yeah.
Where there's like one job, two jobs.
Exactly.
But like I think for me, I remember that, and I think that's why it's been always easier for me to like work. Cause I remember like my dad rocking one job, two jobs, and like go from one job, run to the other, be home late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like me personally, I don't think I've ever struggled with like, oh, what am I gonna do in my life?
Yeah.
But it's always been like I definitely have changed like 180 different things, but I'm always like committed to like something.
For sure.
But no, yeah, for sure. I think now like we do have more of options, because again, I think social media sees like, oh man, there's so many things we can do. I mean, good and bad.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And I think a parent's goal was to always have their kids be more successful than them. So as generations happen, your goal is to be better than your parents. And so that's always been our expectations for our kids. And I think every parent is they want their kids to be better than them. And so, yeah, you might be successful. I feel like I'm very successful. My wife is very successful. But still, we want our kids to be better than us. We want their kids to be better than them. And I think it's just a philosophy that you incorporate.
Yeah. And even that's a little bit different though, like, because a lot of people don't even want kids anymore. Like like building a family is not really like on their list, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like for them it was like that's kind of the default, you know. Like they're gonna find somebody, they're gonna build like a family, and I still think that's beautiful, you know. I want that, you know. But I know a lot of, especially like meet a lot of girls that are like, oh, I don't want kids. I'm like, oh snap.
Or like vice versa. I've had a lot of like friends that are females that are like, let's say we're getting to our 30s and they're like hard on themselves because they're like, oh, I've been like, I needed, like life says, or my parents say, or like social, or the norm is, oh, I needed to go to college, I got a job, okay, now I need to get married and have kids. Where like I think sometimes it, like our generation, like as you said, some girls might not want to have kids and maybe focus on their goals or whatever, right, careers. But or like I think sometimes for some of the females, you know what they say, they have like a not such a big like time clock to be mothers, where like sometimes they put all this pressure on themselves, like, oh man, I'm in my 30s, for example, right? Like, oh, like I needed to find someone to have kids with. I think it was like both ways sometimes, like our generation, you know, like,
yeah,
that is the norm. I think we've always like, oh, hey, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna get a job, you're gonna find someone, oh, now you gotta, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna be hard. And same thing for a guy. I'm sure same thing for guys, you know,
for sure.
Yeah.
And what kind of things did you have to do, or what how was your experience in just balancing your busy work schedule and then obviously like raising like such a good family and keeping a great relationship with your wife? How did you kind of balance that?
I would tell you that in the very beginning it was a little rough.
Yeah.
You know, I was mostly gone because of the fire service, whether it be the city or the county. And you know, it wasn't easy. I mean, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody'd be married. So, I took a little bit of an eye-opening, a discussion, you know, saying, you know, of course she was talking to me, say, hey, you don't cut your shit out, you know, we're going to end up where we don't want to be ending up.
Yeah.
And so it took me to realize that, to think, you know what, I need to
Was it just
balance.
long hours?
Long hours. Yeah. And then I was on every special team, getting called out for everything. I slept fire, I breathed fire. That was what I did. And so to change that thought process, because now we got kiddos, you know, our first child, our daughter, you know, it took a little while to get used to and try and realize that I need to be home with her. And then my son came right after 2 years later, and then trying to be home with them. And then my wife's trying to go to school to become a nurse and do the different aspects. And you know, it really took me some time to balance that out and figure it out. I think it was more of a figuring out. And, you know, it wasn't always perfect by no means. But definitely we took the time to work things out and talk it out. And we are where we are today with some fantastic kids. I got a beautiful wife. I hope to grow old with and stay around for a long time. But
yeah, do you ever think about like when you're gonna hang it up? Not that you should. I'm just saying, like, does that even cross your mind? Because you've been doing it for such a long time.
Doing it for so long, but I tell everybody, and everybody laughs at me, that this is the best job in the world, and I have yet to work a day in my life.
Wow.
And so because of that, it's, you know, I always tell everybody too that when it becomes a job is the day I need to retire.
And what plays into that? Like, do you think it's just you were born for this, or like what is it about the job specifically that, like, you know what, this is what I really enjoy about it? I
think Robert kind of hit it on the head when he was saying that he knew what he wanted to do from a long time. I knew what I wanted to do, but I think also too is surrounding yourself with good people. I think the people you hang out with, the people you surround yourself with, are a reflection of you to a certain extent. And so, you know, in my job as a fire chief for the county, I've got some great people that work for me. From administration to my assistant chief to my captain to my firefighters. They're awesome people, and it's like a family away from my family. And so that helps out. And in the city, I'm always trying to get the people that have the same work ethic as I do in my battalion. And we got some great people there too. We got some great officers, and we got a great administration. And so I think that helps out. It isn't a chore to go to work. It's not like, oh my God, I got to go to work today. I'm looking forward to go to work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
And the two is, the job is different every day. It's never the same thing. It's always something totally off the wall. Sometimes something, it could be as simple as a routine call, but it's different. We're out there in the elements. We're out there in the weather. We're out there talking to people. And I think it's one of the biggest things I enjoy. And the events, we just had an event in the county yesterday, our first Christmas tree lighting, station number 2 in Horizon. And it was super, I should say super awesome, but it was phenomenal to see the kids that were out there. So many kids, and that opportunity to make an impact in their life, that, hey, maybe I want to be a fireman too. That's our future right there. All those kids, the boys and the girls that are there coloring, that are there with their parents, that's our future. Whether they become a fireman, a policeman, hell, the next president of the United States, really, I think that's really makes it impactful for me, is that a simple wave, a simple pounding of the fist. I mean, you see the glow in their eye. You want to get in the fire truck? You can see wow, let's go look in the fire truck. And that's something so cool.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And do you have, what's your part in the recruiting process? Are you like one of the main people that can kind of make the decision, like, yeah, we're going to bring this person on? And
in the county, there's interviews. You go into an interview process with your peers. Ultimately, I have the final say as a fire chief in the county, but I go by the recommendation of my panel to say, you know what, this person has all the certifications, has the work ethic that we're trying to invoke here within our department. Definite hire. In the city, it's a little different process. There's HR, there's testing, and so it's a different process. In that aspect, I don't really have much say, but definitely in the county, I'm looking at, I approve or hire our future firefighters.
Got you. Yeah. And is there one thing, like, there's a non-negotiable for you?
Non-negotiable, I mean, clean record, obviously. Clean record as in, they can't have felonies, stuff like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure you get tons of different people from different backgrounds.
For sure, and they're all great people.
Yeah.
And I've had, from the time I started to current, I mean, when I was 15 years old to now, I've met so many people, and some of them I've stayed friends with. Some of them have moved on to become doctors, lawyers. There's one of the firefighters learned about today that works for El Paso Fire, and he's going to be resigning here pretty soon to go become a PA. And so it's pretty amazing. And, our job helps us truly prepare for maybe our true calling down the road. Maybe you're not going to be a fireman for your entire career, but being a paramedic to move on to PA, which is what in his case he did. We've had a couple of people become doctors. They were started as a EMT basic, then they become a paramedic, then they became a nurse, and now they're a doctor. And so it's pretty amazing to see that process. Got
you. Yeah. Do you like to travel?
I like to be at those places. I hate traveling.
Got you.
Just being in the plane, cooped up, and it's tough. But I'm getting used to it. I've been doing a ton of traveling these last 2 years. My wife would attest to that one. So it's been rough.
Yeah. So, where's a place that you went recently that you enjoy?
That I enjoyed that I went to recently. Well, I mean, on this last deployment, we started off, so we were driving. It was a crew of 6. I was a squad leader, and we had 2 trucks, 2 boats, and we head to Lubbock. Got to see my boy up there while we were up there. Met some great people there. We went down to Abilene, met some great people there. We went across to Fort Worth, Dallas, Rockwall, met some great people there. Down in College Station, and then down in San Angelo, where just meeting some amazing people. Yeah, it's just been amazing
for sure. What about the because you guys went to Mexico together, no? Like pretty recently.
Cruise.
Yeah, we went.
You went on a cruise.
Yeah, a few summers ago.
Yeah. Was it a Carnival cruise or what was it?
It was a Carnival.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah. Cruise was awesome,
dude. I love cruises.
Yeah, it was cool.
I think our first one. Yeah, that was my first one.
Yeah.
It was our second. Yeah, our second one.
Second.
Yeah. But definitely, I'm trying to plan something for next summer. I want to go to Italy or something. I'm gonna go to Europe. Something cool.
It'll be
So,
dope. And like your
right?
vacation, you can stack up like your days, or how
Oh,
does that? Yeah.
Yeah, now I've so many years, I have some seniority, and so that helps out a little bit. So we stack up our days, and I can take, when I take, for example, one day off, I'm actually in actuality getting 3 days off because my shift in the front, my day off in the front, then my shift and my day off in the back. So I
Got you.
get 3 days for every 24 hours that
Wow.
that I'm off for. So which
Oh,
is pretty
snap.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing, and some people take advantage of that. Some people travel and do some great things. I know a firefighter that every summer he goes somewhere exotic, just because he's not married, has no kids, has the time, has been around for a long time, and has the funds to travel and see the world.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. Well, I wanted to ask you, just to wrap it up, what is some advice you'd give to someone who maybe they don't have to be in the fire department, or maybe not even in that route, but someone who kind of is going through like a tough time right now. Maybe it could be someone who is like lost, or just in general, just doesn't know exactly maybe what they want to do for their future, and maybe anxious about it. What is just some advice to someone who's kind of like not in the best mental state right now,
I mean, if you're having some bad thoughts, definitely go seek some help. No doubt about that. There's many different entities out there that you can call, and they can definitely give you some counseling. But if you don't know what you're doing in regards to what you want to be either whether it be now or in the future, I mean, try it. Try something. Try something you think you like, and go out there and try it. And if it doesn't work out, switch, do something else. But I think staying status quo or not doing anything at all is the worst thing you can do. I think education is paramount. You've got to go to school, get that degree. It helps. It teaches you and it guides you to maybe this isn't what I want to do. I'm going to switch, plans to become a nurse instead, or to become an engineer, or whatever the case may be. But definitely, ask. Call if you want to be a firefighter. Not too sure you want to be a firefighter. There's many opportunities to go volunteer. There's a number of different departments that are out there that still have volunteers. We still accept volunteers. It's got to be 18 or over. Of course, no major events on your record. I mean, tickets are fine, but no felonies, nothing like that. But you can do stuff. You can volunteer in the hospital. You can volunteer in many different areas that you can kind of feel, is this what I want to do? But I think for sure is not just sitting back and waiting for something to fall in your lap is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You've got to get out there and try it.
For sure. Do you guys offer like counseling as like in the fire department?
We ourselves have counseling for within,
Got you.
but not for the outside the organization.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, that's good then. Yeah, and so if I wanted to just literally go and volunteer, it could literally be a day here and there, and I could just see just experience that with you guys.
Well, each department is structured a little bit different. We have some requirements for us where you've got to attend trainings every Wednesday night. You've got to, of course, we do a background check, we do a drug test, we do interview process, and that's even a good thing for some of the younger generation who don't know how to interview, who never been in an interview before, and I've seen it. You have some people that are so anxiety driven that it's like, you know what, this is a good opportunity for you to, sit down, relax, figure out what you're going to do in regards to how to interview, how to sit, how to interact with the individual, and so that helps them out within our organization. But at the end of the day, it's there's different organizations, different fire departments: Socorro, Clint, Sanelli, Fabens, West Valley. They're all accepting volunteers. We need volunteers. I think as a nation, what we call volunteerism is going down, and so we need more people to come up and step up in their community and help. It's one of the dying things, and I understand. Some of us are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, going to school, have family. And so each department is a little bit different. Some of them have a little bit more or a little bit less stringent requirements. I think we're one of probably the most stringent fire departments out there, because our goal, or my goal, is to make you better than when you came in, whether it be your certifications or whether it be just a paramilitary mindset of yes sir, no sir, how to do simple things as changing a tire, what a monkey wrench is. I mean, you'll be surprised, how many people don't know what certain tools are. Yeah. It's just a thing that's kind of fallen to the wayside.
That is episode 57 of the most vulnerable player. I really appreciate you making the time, Chief. I know you're all over the place with your schedule. Like you're always like you've been out of town like pretty consistently
Yeah.
the past few months, and definitely appreciate you making the time and coming out here and especially meeting the fam. I know it's like a packed house. I don't want to like
That's
overwhelm
good.
you guys, you know.
Yeah, I love being around people. Your family is great, and thank you for having us, for having me, and let my wife sit back there
Yes, of
and
course.
kind of observe. And but definitely, if I can say, just if you want to volunteer, by all means, you look us up on Horizon Fire. If you want an actual, if you're interested in being a professional or a career fireman with El Paso Fire, there's a website. Go to the city of El Paso and look up Firefighter. You can do what they call a job interest card, where they just did an application process. The next academy is in January, but they'll have more after that. So there's opportunities all over. Everybody's hiring. Like I mentioned, volunteer wise, everybody's looking for people. You want to be helping out your community. You want to step up a little bit and learn how to do things. The fire department's the way to go.